Tonight, a major police operation unfolds in Port Broughton with a significant amount of drugs and equipment seized. And a new push in a bid to support tourism operators in the Spencer Gulf.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hubar begins now.
Good evening. A 34-year-old man has been charged following a major police operation in Port Broughton, which led to the seizure of equipment and a large quantity of cannabis plants. A sophisticated hydroponic setup was uncovered, with multiple police resources swarming 2 properties this afternoon.
This is the haul made at a residential home in Port Broughton this afternoon. 32 large cannabis plants seized, a sophisticated hydroponic setup uncovered and an organised drug ring broken. The work of authorities coming to an end when they swarmed John Lewis Street around 1:30. Another property involved too, with police alleging they found another 12 plants. The raids followed information provided by police in the Barossa Valley. A Paralawi man was arrested and charged with cultivating a commercial quantity of a controlled drug. The police operation here at Port Broughton today follows another separate drug raid at Port Pirie on Wednesday. Police say at that property they uncovered an amount of methamphetamine and cannabis.
They located a clandestine lab used for the manufacture of methamphetamine.
A 40-year-old man from Risdon Park was arrested and charged with manufacturing and trafficking in a controlled drug. Investigations are continuing into all cases, police reiterating the dangers people can face in drug laboratories. The
dangers to the neighbours is really great, from fire, explosion and the fumes that come out of the premises. Authorities are urging anyone with information or who may have witnessed suspicious activity to come forward. With blinds closed, people coming and going for short stays in sheds. One of the main things is the chemical smell, a bit like nail polish remover. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
As coronavirus cases continue to grip the world, our region is mostly unscathed and is continuing to wake from its COVID-19 slumber. A new tourism campaign has been released just in time for the school holidays, aiming to entice visitors back and boost numbers to businesses who've managed to struggle through.
A melting pot of food and culture, Eyre Peninsula's intriguing wildlife, towering sand dunes and Coffin Bay's renowned oysters, all part of a new campaign. They're showcased as part of a new series of tourism adverts aimed squarely at encouraging South Australians to discover their own backyard and entice those from across the borders to visit the safe state.
This one is aimed at the caravan and camping type market, showcasing all the wonderful things there are to see and do in southern Eyre Peninsula and around Port Lincoln.
From a fishing adventure to a road trip, swimming with the sea lions and having your taste buds tantalised, the ad incorporates the best the Eyre Peninsula has to offer. Here in Port Lincoln and across the region, tourism operators struggled through the pandemic. They're now open, but for many, it was touch and go.
We live in a beautiful place. Obviously operate in a beautiful place, and that type of exposure is fantastic for this region and for us as well.
David Dowdle, who showcases in the video, is a strong advocate for the area. No stranger to the camera, he's often appeared in local and national tourism adverts. Last year, he was a part of only 8 tour operators across the nation to feature in Tourism Australia's campaign.
So this literally is the backyard.
Really good notification, I suppose, and exposure for the Eyre Peninsula.
Australian Coastal Safaris hoping to cash in with the latest advert and get bums on seats. The adventure tour's reopening for the first time this week since the pandemic hit. They received a flood of inquiries and bookings, with school holidays kicking off today.
We're looking really good for the rest of July, pretty much booked out, so it's a good start.
A good start following a very tough time.
So the school holidays for the first week are looking really good. The numbers are very good. In fact, the staff at the Visitor Centre are starting to push people into week 2 so that we spread the love over the full fortnight.
Videographer Elliot Grafton has just finished a stint on Eyre Peninsula filming a road trip video for South Australia's Tourism Commission.
Everywhere I go up, I reckon my favourite part between like Camel Beach and Streaky Bay, it's such a beautiful coastline through there as well.
The Adelaide-based filmmaker, best known for his recent video used by Stephen Marshall in his tit-for-tat against the Victorian Premier.
I don't want to be offensive to South Australians, but why would you want to go there? Why would you want to go there?
He's a bit of a character, old Steve. I love it. So, yeah, I had to get behind it on that one.
A campaign helping prop up those who need it most and showing the sky can be bright even after the darkest of times. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A $10 million funding opportunity is now available to Broken Hill City Council after it adopted its long-term financial plan. A low-interest loan from the state government is on the table to support major infrastructure projects.
A potential boost to City Council's coffers. The economic impact of coronavirus has dealt a blow to Council's plans to return to surplus.
To be able to go forward, we had a couple of options. One of them was actually to increase rates. The other one was to actually get a loan.
Operating with a deficit budget, the long-term financial plan featured 3 options. Do nothing and break even in 2027, enter caretaker mode, reducing capital works, or future-proof the city with a $10 million cash injection from the state government.
In all honesty, in my opinion anyway, we really didn't have a choice. This was the one that was going to help us go forward as a council.
Council has begun the loan application process and if it's successful, 2 major projects in the city will be bolstered. The planned upgrade of Queen Elizabeth Park and the transformation of the O'Neill Sports Complex.
The Queen Elizabeth Park master plan is amazing. The Norm Fox, the investment there, it hasn't had any infrastructure investment for years.
The aim of the projects is to boost the local economy through jobs and make the city a more livable destination. The CBD also being considered.
We've already had the community say we want banners, we want lighting in Argent Street, we want more trees. That's what we'll be able to invest in.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, a new service for South Australian landholders, and Port Augusta's Health Network celebrates 12 months of supporting the community. Hello again. A specialised information service is now available for landholders across South Australia. The service will see support to help them engage with resource industries who may be interested in their land.
It was an election promise which is seeing the light of day. It's aimed to help landholders navigate their way with the resource industry.
If a resources company ever knocks on the door and has a suggestion for a potential project, the landholders can go to this free service and find out what are their rights, what are their responsibilities, what are the pathways, ask any questions that they want.
The service welcomed by those on the ground.
Prawn Producers SA and Grain Producers SA both worked hard towards this, and I think it's this is the government listening. They're acknowledging that it is an issue, and the fact they're going to fund it, I think, is a terrific outcome.
Representatives for primary producers say the service will empower those who need it most.
The landholders, whether it's a farmer or somebody on a station, it's not their business, it's not what they do, so quite understandably they don't understand it as well. They feel that they're a bit of a disadvantage in that knowledge gap.
Receiving a letter from a resources company said to be difficult to deal with.
Hopefully really drop the stress level of that actually happening, so that someone will come and talk to you about what your rights are, help you through the whole process.
The service fundamentally there to provide advice and support.
The people that provide this advice will be very knowledgeable, very thorough, and be able to give really good in-depth understanding of how the system works so that the landholders are as informed as possible.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A new online pre-approval process for travellers looking to enter South Australia has been inundated with inquiries. Since launching on Wednesday, there have been more than 13,000 submissions made. Broken Hill locals looking to visit the state have been urged to fill in the form before hitting the road. The new process determines if a person is an essential traveller, must self-isolate or can travel without restrictions. The Flinders and Upper North Local Health Network has officially been in operation for the last 12 months. The Executive Officer and staff reflecting on the year that was, with many changes made and hurdles overcome.
Since its establishment last July, the Local Health Network has had a big year.
It's been an incredible first year, from the commencement of what is essentially a new organisation has been a massive amount of work and achievement that has been made, in 12 months.
Although too busy to have celebrations, they've been hard at work implementing changes for our region's healthcare.
The last 12 months, obviously, we developed a new executive structure for nursing and midwifery, and along with that, we have also done some extensive work around developing the nursing and midwifery workforce here right across the LHN, including new models of care in some occasions.
Extensive planning and negotiation have been at the forefront of the last 12 months.
Helps us really define now for the years ahead the workforce and certainly the medical and clinical workforce that we need to really develop our local health network.
But there's been significant challenges to overcome.
With everything we needed to do in this first year, and then to have to deal with the COVID pandemic has been truly amazing by our staff.
Staff acknowledged as the backbone for our region's health.
I'd really like to take this opportunity to thank the staff for going well above and beyond what they normally would need to do to address this situation in what has been really quite a challenging and trying time.
Selfless people working to keep others healthy and happy. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Spectators will be welcomed back trackside for the first time this racing season for the City of Port Augusta Cup to be held this Sunday. 1,000 patrons will be allowed on site with social distancing and hygiene measures in place to ensure a fun and safe day. Limited tickets will be available at the gate on the day, with many already sold out. Stay with us after the break. A Port Lincoln Primary School raises a whopping amount of cash for the Heart Foundation, and Whyalla students set to be wowed these school holidays. Welcome back. More than 75 students at Port Lincoln Primary School have taken part in this year's Jump Rope for Heart program and have cemented themselves as the highest fundraisers in South Australia. The team managed to raise a staggering $10,000 for the Heart Foundation's life-saving work.
Jumping for joy, students coming to an end of their 6-week jump rope challenge.
Super proud of all of our school community.
In total, the Port Lincoln Primary School skipped for more than 279 hours, with 75 students signed up to help raise vital funds for the Heart Foundation.
It's fun to skip with my mates.
The school smashed its initial target of $1,000 by more than 10 times, finishing the 6-week event yesterday with more than $10,000 raised, placing the group as the highest fundraisers in South Australia and 9th in the country.
I've been enjoying it because I can skip with my friends all the time and have fun.
The number one focus at the start wasn't the fundraising, it was keeping kids active with all of the COVID restrictions and a lack of community and school sport.
The Jump Rope for Heart event is a program by the Heart Foundation that has run for more than 3 decades. The money raised helping go towards research to help lower the risk of heart disease across Australia.
I think I want to do it in the future because it's pretty fun and you can always just raise money for the Heart Foundation.
Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Staff at Whyalla's Visitor Centre have spent the day preparing the Maritime Museum, getting it ready for one of the first Cuddle Fest activities. Running through the school holidays, children will be able to participate in a hunting challenge with prizes for those who join in on the fun.
The doors are open and the family fun activity is set up and ready to go. Starting tomorrow, the Cuttlefish Capers Challenge will be on offer throughout the Maritime Museum.
It's a bit of a fact-finding, decoding mission for those who wish to accept that challenge.
The children will be given a question and decoding information sheet and search around the museum for the different types of cuttlefish.
We're learning a lot about our own giant Australian cuttlefish that visit here in Whyalla and off at the Point Lowly area.
The visitor centre also selling cuttlefish souvenirs during the event, with special prizes given out to those who participate in this activity.
They can come in at the end, they can collect their prize pack to take home with them, and they get a certificate for completing the mission.
The family-friendly event is COVID safe, with hand sanitising stations set up throughout the museum and social distancing measures in place.
It's a fun learning activity for all ages.
All families, come on down. We've got free entry for children.
A range of Cuddle Fest activities are now listed on the council website. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Its season was cut short by COVID-19, but Broken Hill basketball continues to look on the bright side. The local association meeting this week to discuss the future of the sport, hoping to be back on the court in a couple of months.
The city's basketball stadium has been closed for the past 3 months. The 2019-2020 season cancelled right at the business end of the fixture, just as coronavirus started to grip the world.
Just got into finals. I think it was the first week of finals, I reckon. And they had another lot of finals, and then it would have been grand final weekend. So yeah, it was pretty far along.
Fast forward 3 months and the local association is now turning its attention to the upcoming season. With New South Wales announcing this week a reduction in coronavirus safety measures, basketball officials are hoping more changes are on the way.
Come September, October, hoping that the restrictions are a lot lessened than what they are now for us to be able to have people inside and have spectators.
Broken Hill is affiliated with Basketball SA, which recently allowed stadiums to reopen and contact trainings to resume. But being in New South Wales, the association must follow direction from the state.
We've got a fair bit going on, which we're all looking forward to. We've actually advertised for our Broncos coaching positions. If you are interested to come out and coach our wonderful, talented kids, just hit up our Facebook page.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have your footy tips for this weekend and the weather with Britt. Hello again. After a longer than usual off-season, local footy finally returns to the field this weekend. With a preview of the action, here's our footy experts with their tips.
Hello and welcome to the first round of SGL football in season 2020. We start this round with Port's taking on Lions at Memorial Oval here. I'll be tipping Lions in that one. Up in Port Augusta, it's West taking on Central. I'll be tipping West in that game. Just a few guidelines to adhere to. Crowds will be capped at 1,000 people. All spectators are asked to please stay off the oval, and this includes kick and catch at quarter time and half time, so that's a bit disappointing for the kids, but in these times we need to adhere to these guidelines. So let's all hope we can have a good weekend and get the season away, and we look forward to round 2 next week.
Welcome to Isla Football. Season finally gets underway this weekend. There's 10 rounds of matches and finals will be late September. Teams get to play on the brand new Bennett Oval for the first time, and we're not really sure which recruits are turning up this year because there's been lots of in and outs, but we do expect some new players. So first up, grand final replay, West Whyalla versus Central Whyalla, Bennett Oval. Lots of talent on display here. Hard to pick which way it'll go, so we'll stick with the reigning premiers in West. South Whyalla versus Rupina will be at Memorial Oval on Saturday. Again, we're expecting a little bit out of South this year. They should have some new players coming in, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt in round 1 and a win for the Demons. And finally, on Sunday, it's going to be North Whyalla versus Roona Bay. Plenty of talent in both teams. Roona Bay in particular got some great young talent, but I think the experience of North will see them get across the line.
Now for a look at what's happening with your weekend weather, here's Britt Aylen.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening. Showers cleared to a partly cloudy afternoon across much of the region today. Port Augusta recording a top of 18 degrees, in contrast to the high at Clare, just 11. It reached 17 at Whyalla and Woodner today, 16 at Broken Hill and Port Pirie, 15 at Kadina, Cleve and Coffin Bay, 14 at Port Lincoln today. From the satellite, we can see a strong cold front crossing South Australia, bringing with it those showers about southern parts today. Moving on to tomorrow on the Gulf waters, west to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots, seas up to 2 metres with south to southwesterly swells. And it's looking to be a partly cloudy Saturday at Port Lincoln with an expected top of 16 degrees. Cleve also cloudy with a high of 15, Woodner partly cloudy and 16 tomorrow. Fine and partly cloudy at Whyalla, 15. The same at Kadina. Port Augusta looking partly cloudy with a top of 16. Port Pirie, fine and partly cloudy, a high of 15 degrees. Morning frost at Clare, warming up to a partly cloudy 12. Broken Hill, fine and 13. Looking ahead to Sunday now with showers forecast for the lower and eastern Eyre Peninsula, as well as the York Peninsula and the mid-north. Fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. Port Augusta with a high of 18, Woodness 17, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Port Pirie all 16, Kadina 15, Broken Hill 14. Monday partly cloudy across the region with maximum temperatures between 13 and 17 degrees. And Tuesday is looking much the same as Monday, fine and partly cloudy across the board. Louise, that is the weekend weather. I will catch you next week.
Lovely, thank you for that, Brett. And that wraps up your local news for this week. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We'll have updates later, but if we don't see you, have a lovely and safe weekend. Good night.